Okay, so yesterday y'all listened to the story Tacky the Penguin. So today we're going to retell the story using our picture cards. And these are really small, they're hard to read, so I'm going to be zooming in and out, okay? And then once we get done putting our picture cards together, then you have your own piece of paper with the cards on it to cut out and glue and put in order. All right, so let's look at these pictures. Right here it says, one day hunters came. And it says, Tacky greeted differently. Okay, so this is where it shows us Tacky was different from the rest of the penguins. Tacky did a dive for the hunters. Tacky sang for the hunters, and his companions joined him. All the penguins hid. Tacky sang different songs. Tacky marched differently. Tacky dived differently. Tacky greeted the hunters. Tacky was a hero. The hunters ran away, and Tacky marched for the hunters. Okay, so we know the hunters came later on in the story. At the beginning of the story, it was showing us all the ways that Tacky was different, right? Okay, so we got to find the very first thing. It showed us that Tacky greeted differently, he sang differently, and he marched differently. So let's think about, and he dived differently. So in our story, if we go back and look at it, 1 second. Okay, so here's my book. If I go back and look at it, let's look at the first thing Tacky did. Showed us Tacky and that he was different. Okay, so here we go. Let's talk about how they greeted each other. And this is the part where Tacky greeted differently. So remember that Tacky greeted differently first. And then the next picture shows us how he marched differently. So greeted and then marched. And then it showed us how he dived differently. Greeted, marched, dive. And then finally it showed us how he would sing differently. So let's go back to our sequencing cards. Okay, so the first thing he did was greeted differently. So I'm going to drag this picture up. Put it number 1. And the next thing was how he marched differently. So there's my marching. And then how he dived differently. There he is. I'm going to move that picture in the number 3 spot. How he sang differently. Okay, so there we go. There's the beginning of our story and what it showed us. And then one day, the hunters came. This is when they come in the picture. So let's put the hunters up here. And then all the penguins got scared and they hid behind the rock except for Tacky. Alright. And then Tacky greeted them. He said, what's happening? And then after he greeted them, he showed them how he marched. It's the same sequence. It's the same sequence as up here, okay? So he greeted, he marched, then he dived, then he sang for them. The same sequence. There we go. He dived, then he sang, but this time when he was singing, all his companions joined him because Tacky sang so loud. And the hunters ran away. They said, you know what? We don't want those penguins anymore. And then Tacky was the hero. Okay, so now if you need to leave this up, that's fine for you to look at. To help you cut out your pictures and then glue down your pictures in the same sequence that we just did to retell your story using your story cards.